What's up, everybody? John Eric Pauli here with My MMA News, and today I'm joined by Shannon Ross, who will be making his UFC debut at UFC 284 when he takes on Kleydson Rodrigues. That fight date, February 11th here in the United States, and that, of course, is the big pay-per-view event for the month of February. So really looking forward to that fight card, and I'm really looking forward to today's conversation. Let's welcome Shannon in here. Shannon, thanks for being here, man. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for linking it up, and sorry to keep you up late over there, and we can get it done. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, no problem at all, and I don't mind staying up late at all. It's no problem. I'm actually used to bartending. I run the bartender life over here, so
Yeah,
it's
nice.
starting to get a little to those little late hours, but not too bad for me. It's still about an hour or two before my sleep schedule starts to get affected, so we're all good. But anyway, man,
Oh,
I
good.
really appreciate the time. Let's start with everything that's kind of transpired here. So I said there in the open, it is your UFC debut, and the road to this point has been incredible. It was a big storyline in the summertime when you were on Dana White's Contender Series. So just kind of to back up, you were on the Contender Series. You were in a slugfest fight. You did not get the win. But a few hours later, you're in the hospital. Your appendix was about to burst. Crazy scene, crazy just madness happening everywhere. Dana White was so impressed with you that you were able to fight through that and get through before you made it to the hospital there. Loved it so much he gave you the contract. Take everybody through the whole entire story. That was just the easy version of it. Give us the details.
Yeah, the story actually starts maybe weeks and weeks before, where my athlete visa got denied, and then we had to file for an emergency one. So I was doing the back end of my camp on the whole thing, not even knowing if I was going to get my visa approved, and then we got the visa approved a couple of days before we were supposed to fly out. Then they've lost my passport in the post, and we've missed our first flights, and then we've ended up getting the passport back. We flew out to Vegas. We got there. Obviously, I thought, yeah, it's all smooth sailing from here on in, right? But a couple of days after, I start getting a bit of a sore stomach leading up to the weight cut. I'm sort of just putting it to the back of my head as if I'm hungry and it's fight week like every other fighter is. Got a bit of weight to move, so I'm just sort of hungry. Yeah, post fight, obviously didn't get the decision I wanted. We had an absolute war. Obviously, getting Dana out of his seat and into the cage for the first time in Contender Series history speaks volumes in itself, and sort of shows what they're about moving forward into these next few years for who they're looking for as fighters and athletes and stars to sort of bring that excitement to the game. And then, yeah, the next day, obviously, the stomach's still not feeling very well after eating some food, and thought should probably head down to the hospital, get it checked out. And yeah, they've come back after a CAT scan and said, yeah, your appendix is ruptured. And then the UFC's doctor was down there. He was at the event. He said, I don't know how you bloody Australians do. He goes, use it tough as. So yeah, it was a bit of chaos that last few weeks. But yeah, now we're here looking forward to the debut in 284 Perth. Super excited and fresh and happy, and obviously no appendicitis because you can't catch it twice.
And I got to ask you one more question about that appendicitis, too. So it's crazy, right? Over here in the United States, American football is a big thing. Playoffs are going on right now. My team's
Yep.
not in the playoffs, the Green Bay Packers, but starting left tackle on the Packers, David Bakhtiari, he had his appendix taken out and he missed. Oh, God. It had to be about a good 4 or 5 weeks, I bet you, maybe a little less. I think it was about 4 or 5, if I had to guess off the top of my head, with his appendicitis. And even talked when he came back, like the pain he was in, it hurt to sneeze, it hurt to cough.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that road to recovery like? I'm sure that had to be, it was hard enough just going through it, I'm sure, never mind the road to recovery there.
Yeah, so like the lead up to it and after the surgery, not so bad. Obviously, I think I was running on a lot of adrenaline that week coming into the Contender Series fight, so I was pushing through it. But yeah, post surgery, it took a good 6 weeks until I could start moving properly again and really start like letting the body do what it usually does. We followed a good rehab program, a bit of Pilates and a bit of stuff you wouldn't usually think, but the Pilates obviously helped strengthen that abdominal wall and the stuff they cut through for the surgery. So we were straight into that as soon as we could be, and yeah, followed the rehab protocols, and now we're back firing on all cylinders.
And now you're all ready for this debut. And you said something interesting, I believe it was for the UFC website when you released the statement, but you said something like you owe Dana White. What's that about there? Is that just because of him giving you this contract and everything that kind of happened? What do you think you owe him?
Oh, I think obviously he's given me a contract off the back of losing, which is very, very rare. And I think maybe I'm only one or two, three people that have got one on the contender series after losing. So not that I owe him anything, but I want to prove to him that he made the right decision in giving me that contract coming off a loss. So to get this win and excite the fans and fight how I always fight and just bring that craziness and that violence to the cage and let him know that he's chosen a good flyweight to mix it up there with the guys is that's what I'm looking for.
Awesome. So let's start talking about this debut a little bit here. Just how excited are you for it? It's a great time in your career. It's going to be a moment that you're always going to remember for the rest of your life. Just what's the excitement level at right now?
Yeah, it's massive. It's hard to explain, right? Because your debut is probably one of the biggest sort of things you look forward to your whole career. And now I get to do it on a card like UFC 284 with the likes of Alex Volkanovski, pound for pound #1, Islam Makhachev, lightweight champ, and they're fighting for the lightweight title. So Alex is going for two belts, and then the who's who of Australian, New Zealand guys lining up on there, and I get to mix it up and debut on that. It's pretty massive. I tried to explain it to like some people, like me and my wife just got married, but like we had a pretty low key wedding. But like for most females and brides, like the wedding is the biggest sort of event of their life, and everything is like has to be extravagant and big and awesome and like perfect down to a T. And this is almost what this debut feels like for me. So I want to go in there, perform, electrify the fans, prove to Dana he made an awesome decision in signing me, and yeah, take that win and get back to the family and just enjoy that whole week.
And with all that being said, too, one of the things that comes with the territory of debuting on a card like this, right? You mentioned with Volkanovski, the who's who of Australian MMA is going to be out there. The arena going to be jam-packed, huge, probably going to be sellout crowd. Any nerves, or you got a guy that doesn't really get any nerves before a fight?
Yeah, I always get a little bit of nerves, right? But my nerves are only to perform how I know I can. My nerves aren't that I'm scared or that I'm worried because I know I put in the work and I know that I do the training and I know I've got a great team. So it's not nervous in the way that I'm afraid. It's nervous in the way I want to prove to myself I can perform how I know I can. Yeah, the event sold out in like record time, I think an hour or so. So it's going to be 16,000 crazy Australians screaming and getting wild. And it's kicking off early, 7 a.m. in the morning. I think a lot of the crowd will be continuing on from the night before, and it's going to be wild, man. It's going to be first time back in 3 years. So yeah, it's going to be cool.
And with all those thousands of people, what's the family going to be like there? Is it just your wife coming out? And congratulations, too, by the way. I did not say that before when you were talking about your wedding. Congratulations on getting married.
Thanks,
Is it just your wife coming out, or are kids going to come out as
yeah,
well?
so yeah, just my wife. She'll come out. We're just going to leave the kids with the grandparents and sort of try to focus on the week leading into the fight and obviously the performance of the fight itself, and then obviously get back to the kids. And I would love to have them there, but this is a very important moment, as you could imagine, and that little bit of sacrifice, leaving them at home for this one is it'll pay off in the long run, and they understand why. So it's all good on that aspect. We'll have plenty of friends and family there, and yeah, it's going to be an awesome debut.
Yeah, and you're just getting started in your career, too. I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunities to get the kids to an event at some juncture. Let's talk now about preparation for this fight. Obviously, you're in training camp right now. Just how's camp going?
Yeah, camp's been really good. Just before Christmas, I was lucky enough to get down and spend about 4 weeks down with Joe Lopez and Alex Volkanovski at Wingdang in freestyle martial arts. So I got to spend 4 weeks there. The energy in the room was phenomenal. Obviously, Alex is he's going for the lightweight title, which is a pretty big thing. Obviously, being the featherweight champ, and the energy in the room there for him was absolutely phenomenal to be around and just to sort of learn and sort of ask him a few questions and bounce ideas off him, and then get back here for the last sort of 5 6 weeks. It's been awesome. We've had good tryouts at our gym for like the next pro team and stuff like that. So the energy's just been carrying on. So yeah, it's only 4 weeks left now, and yeah, I think it's going to be awesome.
I do have to ask you about Alexander Volkanovski since you got to work out with him a little bit there. Just how's he looking
Yep.
so far in camp, the little bit that you were able to see? And obviously, he's going to be moving up in weight here. I know he is kind of, even though he's short, he is a little, stocky and has some muscle mass to him there. How's he looking as he goes towards 155 there? Is he looking a lot bigger and stronger than maybe normal?
Yeah, he's looking awesome, right? Alex is such a phenomenal athlete, but cerebrally, he's so smart. Probably one of the smartest fighters I've ever come across, which speaks volumes. And he's doing all the right things in camp, right? He's bringing guys in that are wrestling based, that are bigger grapplers, like has Craig Jones in there, has the Hickman brothers in there working with him. Obviously, these world class level guys in the fields where it's going to help him win this fight. And yeah, like bigger, yeah, he's a bit bigger. He's very strong. I don't think he's not strong when he fights at 66, but I think he's even more stronger now, being able to sort of eat and feed the body and fuel the training. And yeah, he's looking great. I'm really excited, and I think he's going to get the job done. I hate to sort of like get people on the wrong side of me with the Islam fans, but I think Alex is going to go out there and shock a lot of people.
Well, I'm sure everybody would have assumed that you would have been Team Volkanovski there with being Australian and everything there. Probably not too big of a
100%.
surprise for anybody there. Let's talk, though, with you here. I have another preparation question for you. I was just curious.
Yep.
Are there any benefits to being able to have this fight in Australia? Because typically when you're going through a training camp at some point, right? You got to get on a plane. You got to fly over the United States, which is really long. You got to get adjusted to the time zone over here. Go grocery shopping over here. A lot goes into it for you guys from Australia. The fact that this fight is in the home country, it's only going to be about, I think you said when you told me off air, about 5 hours for your flight for this one.
Yep.
So the fact that everything is all in the home country, is there any benefit to that for you, or really not too much? Are you so used to maybe making those travels, it's not that big of a deal?
No, 100%. There's a massive advantage, I think. Obviously, being in my home country, not having to travel too far, not having to stress too much about that time zone adjustment. Obviously, get into Perth. I know all my food. I know all my shops. I know what I could go and get and what's going to be perfect for my diet on the fight week. So yeah, I think it's pivotal. Pivotal. So he's got to travel a long way. I did this last time for the Vegas fight, obviously. Luckily, we got out there in May the first time and did all the media and stuff like that. So I got to get a little scoop of the Vegas scene first before I got out there for the fight. So it made the second time easier. But yeah, I think it's a massive positive thing for me just to be able to fight at home, not have to stress too much about international travel, and focus on the job at hand, which is winning ultimately.
All right, let's talk about your opponent now a little bit here. Just what have you seen out of him as you've been preparing, and kind of how do you see this fight playing out?
Yeah, so watched a little bit of tape on Kleydson. Obviously, he come through an earlier Contender Series event. It's pretty cool. I get to debut and match up with a guy that's been through the same sort of avenue I come through. Obviously, we've been working a bit on sort of the tendencies and stuff that he likes to do, and where he likes to put the fight and where he likes to be. And obviously, we're going to try to use all that stuff to our advantage. I won't go into too much detail because then he'll be jumping on and changing and trying to change what he's doing. But so we got a good game plan. I've got good coaches analysing and getting a great game plan for me, and something that we really think is going to work, and go out there and nullify him. And yeah, the way I fight is I always try to put my opponents away. I don't try to be safe. You obviously seen that in Contender Series. I'm happy to take a little bit of risk for reward, right? So the whole fight, I'll be looking for a finish. So yeah.
All right, so now you're obviously very confident you're going to go out and get a victory. You mentioned Alexander Volkanovski, that you think he's going to go out and get a victory. Next question here. A lot of Australians on the card. Can we expect a little Australian domination, do you think, here on this card?
Yeah, man. I think how you've been seeing the Anzacs come through and just showing how we're performing. I think it's been a little while coming, right? Like 5, 10 years ago, there weren't too many of us in the UFC, but I think now they're really starting to see we're a fighting nation, us Australians and New Zealanders, and we fight and we perform, and we've got that fight in us, deep in our heart, and yeah, I think you can see a lot of the Australians and Kiwis doing great on this event, especially being at home on home soil with the fans and the crowd, and using all that to our advantage. And yeah, I think you're going to see a good domination in this card.
All right, man, I got one last thing for you before I let you take off. It's actually a question that goes outside of the cage here. We actually did talk about it
Yep.
a little bit earlier. We kind of scratched the surface on it. You did mention your marriage. Just how's married life been so far? I know you guys have been together for quite some time, obviously had the kids and whatnot, but just how's married life been so far? And were you in camp exactly when you got married, or did this fight announcement kind of
Yeah,
come
yeah.
a little bit later afterwards?
Yeah, no, I was in camp when we got married. Sort of, I was down in Wingdang with the team, Alex Volkanovski's team, and I was down there training. And Beck, my wife now, she sort of messaged me and said, "Hey, I like this date, these numbers. Can we do it?" And I said, "You can do whatever you want, babe." So I flew home. We did the wedding. I went back, kept training, and then yeah, that was it. So married life has been it's been good. It's been just the same as normal life. We've obviously got some older kids and a couple younger ones, so not too much has changed for us other than my wife's last name. But yes, it's been really good so far.
Awesome, man. A lot of good stuff. I appreciate the time. Best of luck in your debut. Last thing before you head out, social media so people know where to follow you at. You have any management or sponsorships or coaches, teammates, anything like that you got to give shout outs to? Anybody you got to plug? Floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, definitely. Like you can follow me on all the socials, Shannon Ross MMA. Obviously, Denny Rubenstein, my manager from Ruby Sports. He's based in Vegas. Obviously, big thanks to him for making all these last few fights happen and getting me to this the pinnacle of my career here. And obviously, all my sponsors. Without them, being a full time fighter is a very hard gig. And I've got some great sponsors backing me leading into this one. And my team, my coaches, my training partners. Yeah, it all makes the journey a whole lot easier having all you guys. So cheers.
All right, Shannon, thanks again, man, for all the time. Best of luck in your UFC debut. Again, for everybody out there, Shannon will be making his UFC debut at UFC 284. So, big fight card coming up there. Can't wait to see it. Just want to remind everybody before I head out here today, if you like today's interview, please go to the bottom, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And make sure you guys keep your tabs out for MyMMANews.com. We have a lot of great content that comes out all 7 days of the week. And also, please go to our social media pages as well. Give us a like and a follow on there. We'll see you later, everybody.